There is a space in my heart where I find the truth. I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah, there is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. I see with new eyes, allow and unfold, embrace and let go, trust the flow. There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah, there is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Breathe in and out. Slowly feel all that's around you. All that you feel, all that you know. Let it go. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. Yeah, when we unite. Oh, we unite. Yeah, yeah, when we unite. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You are welcome here. Love is welcome here. Peace is welcome here. You are welcome here.
Good afternoon, family and friends of CSL Ocala, that's Center for Spiritual Living Ocala. I am Reverend Cindy Grimes, and you are welcome here. I'm so glad that you've chosen to spend a little time with us, whether it's in the afternoon or in the morning, you're kicked back with your PJs, sometime later than Sunday, whatever, you are welcome here, and I'm just so glad that you tuned in. So I'd like to share a little bit about who we are at Center for Spiritual Living Ocala, especially for those of you who might be tuning in for the first time. The number one thing on our list of values is spiritual growth and practice. That is what we are about and why we come together. We value love. It is also right there at the top of our list. We believe that love is the essence of our being as humans, these spiritual beings having a human experience. We believe that love is the essence of who we are, every one of us. We value appreciation and believe that the things that we are grateful for and what we appreciate also grows in our awareness and our understanding. So we value appreciation, and we value community and freedom of expression. We value creativity as well as health and wholeness in every aspect of life. We're talking about our physical being as well as our financial well-being and our emotional and mental health, everything, generosity, and as I already mentioned, financial well-being. And so the mission and vision of Center for Spiritual Living Ocala is that we are a model center for spiritual living, as evidenced by the transformational impact we have on our spiritual community, on the larger Centers for Spiritual Living organization, and the community at large. You see, we are part of a larger organization. There are Centers for Spiritual Living located throughout the United States and Canada and the rest of the world. And so this is our vision at our particular Center for Spiritual Living. And then our mission is to empower individuals to awaken to that power and presence that lies within and all around them so they may live their best lives. That means this thing that so many of us call God or call source, creator, universe, whatever name you give it. We believe that it is everywhere present, and there is really nothing we can do to keep ourselves out of the flow of that energy and that power. Now, we're not always aware of it. We may not always know and feel ourselves in that presence, but we are part of that, whether we believe it or not, just as much as we are subject to the laws of gravity, whether or not we believe it. So that's what we are about at Center for Spiritual Living Ocala. Oops. Let's get some of this light off of here. Okay, much better, much better. And so we have this year been talking about revolutionary love, and the catalyst for this program is a book called See No Stranger, which was written by Valerie Kaur. She is a peace activist, a civil rights attorney, and she's written just an amazing book. You probably get a sense of it from what we've been talking about throughout the year, but it is just well worth reading on your own. And so it was the catalyst. It was the inspiration for our journey this year, and every month has been a different aspect of this idea of what we call revolutionary love. And let me just pop that up on the screen too. Well, so what is this? What does this thing mean, revolutionary love? And the way Valerie Kaur describes it, she says, love is a form of sweet labor, fierce, bloody, imperfect, and life giving, a choice we make over and over again. It can be taught, it can be modeled, it can be practiced. Revolutionary love is the choice to enter into labor for others, for our opponents, and for ourselves in order to transform the world around us. So we see that it's one of those definitions of love, not just as an emotion, but as action, as action. And every month we've talked about a different aspect of love, of this love. And this month we're culminating with the conversation on joy. And so we're going to delve into that a little bit today, but also just want to kind of talk about the year that has passed and just kind of look at it now from that 2021, 2022 perspective, looking backwards, and just see what kinds of things we've learned through this journey that we've been on together. So before we do that, though, I'm going to invite in our practitioner, one of our dear practitioners, Donna Davis. Hey, girl. You are muted. Awesome.
Everybody. It's
Hey.
okay. I was having a little bit of technical issues, but hopefully it's fixed itself.
Yeah, it
Can you?
sounds your sound is a little quirky, I think, but I think it's okay.
Okay.
Let me
All
see
right.
this
As long as you
again.
can hear me, we're cool. I know we can see me because I'm looking at me.
Yeah.
Child, you should have seen me over here frantically trying to get it done. But it's all good. I'm back.
We always do somehow. It always goes together,
Always works itself out.
doesn't
Yes, yes,
it?
yes.
So, yeah, so I thought before, we get into this conversation, just kind of our review of 2021 as we bring Norma into the picture here. I'm going to let you pray us in as you've done so many times throughout this year because you just do it so beautifully. And we just want to get in
Oh,
that space.
okay. All right,
So
let's do
thank
it. Hey, everybody. Happy Sunday fun day to you. I am just going to tell you this. It's one of the practices that I do to get me ready for this space that is dropping into that which is the allness, the awareness of the allness is what I call it, the spiritual mind training. In CSL, we call it that spiritual mind treatment, using the 5 steps that we use for prayer to really get us clear and center and really train our mind to see God expressed everywhere. So we're going to do that together right now. I personally find it helps, especially when I'm scatterbrained, to light incense. Sometimes we can't do it at our center because people have allergies, but here in my office, I don't have an allergy, so I'm gonna go ahead and light it. Gets me centered and ready to go. Some people bring a bell, some people have their essential oils, whatever it takes to get to that space of. So I invite you now to take a few deep breaths as we take this journey together into our awareness and say, I recognize the allness of the one wonderful cause, one life giving source, this amazing vibration that is life, I call God. It is in and around all things. God's presence exists up and down, inside and out. It is a something, it's the nothing, it is everything, it is nada at the same time. It's a contradiction, but yet still it's assured and firm. And as my human brain tries to wrap itself around the allness in this moment, I just know that I recognize it. And as I take that deep breath into my body, as oxygen goes into my nose and into my body, and I become a part of life itself, then I too know that I am sitting into that space that is a part of the allness. I am a living, breathing manifestation of the oneness in human form, sitting and speaking these words, sharing this moment with our friends and family and loved ones and tribe and community and visitors and strangers and everyone else and that has ever existed in the world. We are all a part of the allness. On this planet, on planets beyond this planet, into our galaxy, Milky Way, stretching out even further yet, into those places we have yet to discover as a human race, all of it is the allness. And as I breathe into that, knowing that I'm a part of it, I know it's from that place of awareness that I can then recognize others as they too are part of the illness. And it's from that space of togetherness that I can recognize and step into that revolutionary love that Valerie Kaur talks about, that we've been discussing all year long, that we've been pulling from Ernest Holmes's teaching and looking at this idea through the eyes of openness and consciousness awareness and seeing it unfold in different modalities. And as different people step forward and the illness presents itself through their work and their experience, and they bring this to our consciousness, and we are then up leveled as a human race because of what is coming through them. I know that this is happening for us. We are already on our way to better times, and we are already letting go of that which no longer serves us as a human race. More of us are becoming consciously aware of the allness, that we are in this all together, and that all of it is working divinely, unfolding perfectly, with us as the driver of the vehicle and spirit always in the forefront of it, whether or not we are aware of its presence. I am so grateful for this knowing. I am so grateful for everything that's always presenting itself. I'm grateful for anybody who ever stopped and said, what about spirit? What about God? What about this connection? What about vibration? What about love? For all who have ever spoke the words and felt the feeling that is love, I am grateful for you. I'm grateful for me. I'm grateful for love and life itself. And I release all my thoughts into the law, knowing that it's already done. And together we take the next breath and say, and so it is. Amen. Ashe.
And so it is, Donna. Thank you. Thank you for dropping us down into that space, reminding us of the connection. That even though we're in different locations, we are all still part of that same one oneness,
Yes.
right?
The
Yeah, no matter
oneness, the
where we are.
oneness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's bring in our other practitioner. Hey, hey, Norma.
Hey guys, how are y'all?
Great, great. I'm loving the background. Every time I see it, there's a little more color.
Yes, yes. The
Too.
community mandala.
Yes, yes. For those who don't know, that is in your home, right? And as people come to visit, they can color in a little bit more of the mandala and leave their mark.
And if they
Mhm,
want to share their energy, it's a magnificent way to do it. Leave their mark, as you
mhm,
say.
mhm.
Yes, yes. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Well, I'm just thank you. I'm so glad that we're all here. We're actually all at home. We're all in Ocala, which is
Yes.
exciting after all
Yes.
that travel this year to for all of us to be home, even though we're still not in the same exact space. It's been such an eventful year, and I felt like this last gathering, online gathering for 2021, to kind of tie up all these things that we've been talking about for the year in revolutionary love and joy, that it was just perfect for you to be the guests for today, practitioners, and just kind of bring it circle back home, to
Yeah.
who we are and what we're
Love
about.
it.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So you're the
It's been
perfect.
an interesting journey so far. These conversations and seeing different angles on, a topic that we are all coming from that same space, right? We just have different ways of showing it and different ways of communicating it. So I've really enjoyed seeing different people and how their thoughts have been on the matter and enjoying the conversations.
And I love too, Cindy, that not all of the speakers or people that you had join us on the Sundays, not all have been CSL or Science of Mind. They've been people from different walks and different, paths, and still on the same journey,
Yeah.
and it truly shows the oneness.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you. And it evolved, right? Because as we COVID came hit us, we didn't know how we were going to keep doing this spiritual community and how we were going to do church, what that was going to look like. And so some people made the transition by trying to bring church to the online setting, which for me didn't work at all. For me to just speak to the camera and not have people in front of me and have that interaction was almost painful. So this format evolved, and I think it's been beautiful, and I love it, and it's fun and engaging for me to do it, and I hope it is for the people that are watching too. You know.
Mhm. And it's different modalities for different folks because you're going to have some that like that. And what's so great is that we encourage our community to step outside of the four walls that is just us and just kind of connect to the larger community, the larger tribe, which is CSL. And there's so many centers out there doing different things, and not just CSL, but Unity as well, that are doing different modalities. And some are doing that very thing on a Sunday. You have some that are production artists like Amy that's like
Yeah,
got like that
right.
whole production thing down. That's just wonderful to watch and to join her. And then, we have us who it's more of the discussion and the class where, kind of breaking stuff down, that kind of vibration discussion thing. And then you have others who do the on stage thing and do it
And that's
beautifully.
also
So,
and that's also great as to why you picked the 3 o'clock hour, because most of the other stuff's done. People have the time to go and take their fill of that and then still be able to catch what we're doing and make it a
mhm.
well-rounded Sunday and get a little bit of all of it.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I
And
use it like a podcast. I just kind of stick my earbuds in my ear and just kind of listen, and while I'm still doing my stuff, when we're
yeah,
not on. But
I agree. And and to bring us back to the topic, it does bring me joy, right? I mean, I get to hang out with my friends and have these conversations, and I learn, and I hope everybody else learns from having the different perspectives,
Hmm.
as you mentioned, Donna. So I want to just pop this back up here again, the definition, right, of revolutionary love, and how Valerie broke it down into these three sections of loving others, and then loving our opponents and loving ourselves. And I just want to kind of go back through the pieces and see what stood out for you all in these conversations. So we'll go back to that section, the very beginning, where we talked about loving others, and the idea of seeing no stranger, right? Valerie started out with conversation about wonder.
Hmm.
Like, what if we could just look at other people as if they were members of our own family? Right? What if, as I'm looking at somebody, I'm seeing my mother or my father or one of my children or my uncle or whatever, and treat people in that way as if they are part of my family. And that was a cool orientation to me. I think I
Hmm.
love that she kicked it off that way.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think for me, I think everybody does that to a small degree.
Yeah.
But when we went through this, and you went through the Valerie's point on it, it kind of helped us to be able to expand that. Just
Hmm.
not outside of the people that we see every other day that are different from us, but people that truly aren't in our circles and we rarely come in contact with, and to see them as our family.
Yeah. And one of the ways that I took that honestly is that there are members of my family that I don't get along with, and it's okay. I love them from afar. I don't interject myself into their life. They don't interject themselves into my life. I just know that they're there and they know that I'm here because I might not be living a life that they can vibe with and vice versa. And there's like a respect thing that says, you live you and I live me. And it's okay. But if something was to go down as a community, we'd come together as a family and make something happen. If there was a vulnerability, if there was a crisis, this is what we can do. I don't, when we tell people to think of others or to look at others in that way, we're not saying, because some people don't get along with their family. They're like, if I look at people as my family, honey, I'll be cutting you off real quick, because they don't get along with their family
Right.
for whatever painful thing brought that up for them. But what we're saying is that even if it's that family member that is the crazy auntie or the crazy uncle, that you're just like, you know what, that's who he is, man. He's just a crazy uncle. And some people just need that little bit of grace. So when you meet that stranger, I go, are you somebody that needs to be super close to me in my life, my everyday thing? Or you're somebody that far, far, far away that I just know you're over there and we're not going to interact because we just don't vibe on the same level. You have
Yeah.
your thing, I have my thing, and it's okay. Live your life, boo. you know? And and I can let go of it the same way I would with that family member. I try not to be judgmental. Their blood, it's nothing gonna change that. So we're all human beings. Nothing's going to change it.
Right, right. I
We
Yeah, I
think
think
all
that's
that's
one of
come from that same family.
I think
yeah, I
that's
think
the thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Norma.
that's okay. I was gonna say, I think one of the main key points for me in that was to not look for differences, look for things in common.
Yes.
Hmm.
And that's one of
Yes.
the big takeaways for me, I think.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And mine was, from what you said, Donna, was the judgment, the not judgment. And of course, when you're wondering about somebody, there's no judgment. There's just like,
No,
I want to know more. It's
curiosity.
curiosity. And that
Hmm.
can change everything. Everything.
Hmm.
Because when there's judgment, there's defensiveness.
Well,
People feel
there's a judgment that says that you have to be like me.
right.
You're not like me, so let me pull it apart and see what's wrong with you. If we come from that space of there's something so deeply right with you, let me figure out what that is.
Mm,
And then you can get past their human story, because their human story is just them navigating their life, trying to figure out life and make it happen while going about the everyday get up, go to work, go to sleep, go to school, feed family, da 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 da. That's all part of their story. And throughout their story, stuff happens to them. So
mhm.
when I can step back and say, okay, whatever happened in your life to bring you where you are, I don't have to understand it. I don't even have to know the whole story, but I can just stand here and be a witness of your life as you tell me about it. And sometimes that story bleeds over And you try to drag me and drag me into your story, but I'm not gonna go. I'm just gonna be curious about you from over here.
Yeah, I feel like overall, I would say my takeaway from her program and this idea of loving people in this way, the choice to love, is the choice to create space, safe space, brave space where people can show up and be themselves.
Hmm.
That was my biggest takeaway. And again, another reason why you two are the perfect people to be in on this conversation, because that's what you do so beautifully. You know, in your home, in your presence, I think people just know that there's no judgment there, that you are a place where they can move through whatever it is that they're going through. You know, as
Hmm.
practitioners, that's a beautiful thing to have.
Yeah. And we're so lucky. I mean, I'm very lucky to be able to show up like that, to be able to wrangle my own self expression down so that I can show up for others because I had to do the work to get to that point.
And that's what that was the next thing I was going to say, is that wasn't luck. That is the fact
No.
that you are continually doing the self work. And Norma and people who are in this teaching, especially when you take on the classes and say I'm going to be a practitioner, is that we're continually working on our own stuff.
Yeah.
It
And
doesn't
it's
end.
helped to have mentors and things like that because without the mentor, you can't see where your blind spots are when you're
Yeah,
doing this kind of work, you know. And so anytime that we can then say, you know what, I do have a story. I have my own pain and my own pain's going to show up, and when it does, what can I then do?
yeah,
If I'm standing in wonder of others, what can I then do? I'll know where my blind spots are when people start to show me, like, you know, people who care about me will tell me, hey, you got a blind spot there. But I can show up and say, I'm going to stand as a witness today. Instead of being in my own pain, I'll just stand and be witness for you.
yeah. Now she makes a distinction, remember, between others, just loving others, and then opponents. So that's a
Hmm.
little bit different. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But to just wrap up the conversation on loving others, it came down to being in wonder about them, but also grieving with people and fighting for people on behalf of others. Like that is love in action. You know, is
Hmm.
I'm going to be here to be a shoulder for you to cry on when you need it, and I'm going to stand up for you when you can't stand up for yourself.
Yep.
And I think
Yep.
that's powerful. I think that's really powerful.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And again, one of the things that I think you all do so well. You know, I think of what, like just gatherings at your home and stuff, and you know, we're in circle, and sometimes people are crying, sometimes it's laughter. It's like it's everything, but it is a space where it can be all of those things. There's
Hmm.
celebration,
Hmm.
and there's food, and there's like life to the max in that
Yeah.
community because it feels safe.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's just the extension of like Phoenix, the way that we showed up was that when we had COVID and the center was not able to show up, Phoenix held ground. And we had other groups that held ground. And we all did it together. While you were doing the online stuff, we were doing the other stuff, you know, the caring for and the reaching out, da. And for those people who we could not reach to because we didn't have contact with them or whatever, you know, it was just that vibrational thing that said that if somebody reached out and said, I'm in pain, someone would show up and help. But you got to reach out.
Yeah. Well, and now I feel like it's really set a good groundwork for what's going to come in the next phase of CSL Ocala next year, what
Hmm.
that looks like. Um, as this whatever as the pandemic takes its next form, we don't know what that is. You know, I mean, it looks like everybody's wanting to get back to normal, and we might get smacked around a little bit more. But I think I was just reading an article this morning, in fact, talking about the trauma that has happened to people collectively as a result of the pandemic, and how people's fuses are shorter, their tempers are flaring, anger, sadness, all of this really heavy, heavy emotional stuff that are hard to deal with on a good day. You know, add a pandemic, add all of, you know, people dying, like all of this stuff, and we're really in a hot mess in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But still,
Yeah.
you know, we have in this, I will speak for myself, having my spiritual teachings, having community, right, loved ones has helped to even all of those things out for me. Like I feel like I wrote it out much, much better than a lot of people, even having COVID twice,
Hmm.
because of the supportive community and the things that I was learning here in these conversations,
Yeah.
what it
And
means to
that,
show up as love for people.
yeah, absolutely. And that really helped me too, being a frontline worker, because when I was in the middle of it at the very beginning, it was this teaching and it was my community. And I mean, my community supported us while we were gone. They cleaned our house, for goodness sake, while we were gone. And so we were able to show up the way we needed to show up because others showed up for us. And then others showed up for them, and then others showed up, and that's how it was. And it was this thing that just held for everyone. But even through all the pain and all the different cycles that the human race went through with this pandemic, I feel like there's so many nuggets that we could have caught on and learned and grown from as a result of it, that if we were lucky we were able to get that, and some of us just weren't able to get it because the pain was just too much, and the learning just couldn't happen for them. And it's those people that we need to say, okay, we've been beaten down, let us help you rise now.
Mm,
And it's those people we need to be aware of, that they're coming from the darkness of pain from this pandemic. Those of us who were able to see the light at the end of the tunnel the whole time,
mm-hmm.
because we had community. Some of us did not have anything.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So you anything else on that for you, Norma? On loving others, the wonder, the grieving, fighting, any of that
Um,
conversation?
yeah, my mind, when you guys kept talking about, the COVID thing, my mind kept switching over to the opponents
Yeah.
because, during all this COVID thing, all that political strife and all that. So when we get to that, that's where my mind was kind of shifting to, because that was the hard part throughout all of this, I think.
Yeah, yeah. All right, well let's go there because that was the next part. Let me show it again. The wheel here. So the first part, those first 3 months we talked about wonder, grieving, and fighting for others. And then we moved into how do you love opponents? And she called that section tending the wound. It started with rage, then listening, and reimagining. And I remember thinking when I saw rage, like, wow, what a fascinating thing to have in a program about loving others, like, rage. But I think it was real. It was real. And as you said, Norma, we were going through it, people feeling that anger and rage, like that tells you what is important to you. That's the purpose of that anger and that rage. That tells you what you want to protect and what you value, and how
Hmm. Hmm.
important it is to acknowledge that within ourselves, and to have those communities, those safe places where you could go and just blow off whatever you need to say, whatever, and know again that you're in safe space to do that,
Hmm. Right.
you know.
So I know for me, I went through some serious rage during this pandemic. Serious rage. And I was trying to be as non-judgmental as I could be. But when you're holding people and they're slipping away from you and you're trying to stop a thing that is barreling over anyone, there was this feeling of, oh, but whatever solutions we came up with, were people were fighting over the solutions. Some want the vaccine, some don't want the vaccine. Someone wants, a certain kind of medication. Some people don't trust the medication. Some people do. And it was all of that, all while those of us are on the front lines holding people's hands as they're slipping away into, and that's where the rage was coming from for us. And so when we talked about listening, even though the rage was there, I had to turn away from the thing that was like, but people are dying, to wait, let me listen. What is my opponent's trying to tell me? And then reimagining how we can do both. save lives and honor those people who don't want to put stuff in their body and who don't want to be mandated and who are fighting against this. And then on top of all of that, we had Black Lives Matter. So it was like this crazy that was happening, but then it's how do you turn away from actual lives coding and crashing in your hands to, oh, let me just listen to whatever little feelings you got around this. It was very, very difficult to turn. And now that I have, and I'm working on turning, and I'm working on listening, and thank goodness I have a lot of people in my life that are willing to speak and to show and to say, this is why. This is what I'm being shown. This is my information. This is how come I feel this way. And they're listening to me and saying, this is what I'm experiencing in the hospital. And they're willing to listen. And that's how we can meet in the middle and come up with something that works for everybody, you know. And but we have to have people willing to listen. We have lots of people willing to rage
Hmm.
because they're I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. But how many people are willing to listen and then be willing to reimagine, even if it's not what you want? You have to come up with something that works for both.
Yeah.
And that's how we change it and make a world that works for everyone. But we
Hmm.
have to be willing to let go of our self righteousness.
And we have to, I think, again, in honoring the rage, allow yourself to feel what you feel, right?
Hmm.
Find appropriate ways and places to express what you need to express, and realize that it's not always going to be your moment to make nice with people, or
Hmm.
like sometimes you just got to have that that anger and rage and let it work through your system so that you can then have the presence of mind to listen,
Exactly.
right? Like you may not always be up for that, and I think that's an important like self-awareness that we need to have. Like, this is not my moment to have this conversation with you.
Yes, you have to allow
That,
yourself to
yeah.
get to a neutral place. Because if
Hmm.
not, now you have this person who's feeling whatever they're feeling, and you're feeling
Yep.
whatever you're feeling, and gaboom, you have a powder keg situation. Someone has to hold space.
Right.
And if it's us that are connecting to saying, oh, all of this is allness, because that's what I kept saying to myself. Oh, wait, all of it is the allness anyway. Oh, if I'm going to come from that angle, then what is the allness trying to tell me in this moment? And then I could let go of my it's you and you're saying and you're whatever. Now I'm going to the observing and saying, oh, what is the allness trying to show me in this moment through you?
Yeah.
And then I can let go of my whole judgment around who you are and what your story is in that moment. But that's the only time I can get there. And I have to train my brain to look at it that way. It's a
Yeah.
constant training and retraining and reimagining. Just like you said, retraining and reimagining. Imagine if this was the allness saying something to you. We are in an upward trajectory. What is spirit trying to say?
What's the lesson here? Yep.
What's the lesson? And are we willing to listen to the lesson? What are we learning? What are we saying?
Yeah. We have a couple of people commenting. They're loving the conversation. If you have any questions, if you're watching and want to drop some questions into the chat, we'll go ahead and address them. Did you want to say anything on that, Norma? You said your brain went to opponents and loving opponents.
Well, as far as the coronavirus thing, I just took the stance that I'm in the business of protecting myself, regardless of what your stand is on pro virus, no virus, whatever. Um,
Vaccine, you
I wear
mean?
my
Yeah.
mask. Yeah,
Mhm.
vaccine. Some people don't even believe that the virus is real, but anyways, the vaccine. Um, I protected myself around vaccinated people and unvaccinated people because I didn't really ask them or really care where their stance was. The fact is, I needed to be protected, so it kind of kept the us versus them down because I didn't raise issue with either side really. But where I found myself having to really practice what Valerie Core was emphasizing with the listening and release rage and all that is with the political stuff. When coronavirus first started, I was in my feelings about a lot of things about our current you know uh, things, but I try not to share that with a lot of different people because of the different stances they may have. And then when the regime changed, a lot, I was a little bit more at peace with what my stance was, but then I'm a massage therapist and I see everybody from all, and when they get on my table, that's when they want to share, oh, it was better before. And then, so
Mhm.
I'd have to find ways to have the conversation without pacifying or trying to appease them, but not raising them up either. So, that's where just a lot of listening happened. And sometimes there was no input.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You gotta know yourself. Number one, is
Mhm.
this my moment?
Because I didn't get to play my model song for a lot of them, so I just had to be
You
quiet.
gotta tell your model song. The lyric to that song. What
It's
is it?
just the first 2 seconds of the song. It says,
Mhm.
"Here's what we're not gonna do," and I just that's it. So yeah,
Here's what we're not gonna do.
There's
you're
that
not
boundary.
fixing to drag
Oh
me
my
into
goodness.
that. That's what we're not gonna do. No.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Here's what we're not gonna
Yeah.
do. We're walking
I'm
up the
learning. I'm
yes.
learning not to fall down the rabbit hole that is other people's story.
Well,
And
and
that
that will lead us to self-love, right? Self-love, because there are other paths and lots of teachings about loving others and and our opponents and so on. But usually that's what the focus is on loving others. And then you have practices which is all about loving yourself. But to find something that brings in all of those aspects, loving others, loving opponents, and loving yourself, I think was
Mhm.
really mm, I don't know. It felt very complete to me compared to some other things that I have looked at, and I really enjoyed that. So
Yeah.
back to Valerie and loving yourself, that part of the compass, loving ourselves, was the birth analogy, right? There is time to breathe, and then there's time to push, and then you breathe and you push, and you breathe and you push, and eventually there's the transition that that brings the new life, that
Mhm.
brings that joy. And so
Mhm.
that too, for me, that was another really I love that analogy.
Yeah.
What if the
And I
dark
love
yeah what let me just say this, what if the darkness that we are in right now, this darkness is not the darkness of the tomb, but the darkness of the womb?
yeah.
Something new is wanting to come
Love that.
forth.
Love that. Because I love the thought that spirit never goes backwards. It's
Mm,
always going forward. It never repeats itself. It's not going to go back the way we used to. As much as we're like, "Hey, we want to get back to normal." Oh, honey, normal is no longer that. There is a new normal that is
mhm,
emerging itself. And as it's emerging, it's saying we're taking the lessons of what we have learned and we are applying it so that we don't end up in the situation again. History is doomed to repeat itself if we don't learn the lessons and continue. And that's what all we're trying to say. But there is ancestral pain. The pain that says it used to be like this and it was so great for which group of people?
yeah.
Because we're left with that, and then oh well, it used to be like this, and it was so great for that group of people. It's this constant thing. Whereas now we're saying, how about it needs to be nice for everybody, no matter what the group of people are, and
Yeah.
how can we formulate it so that we all work symbiotically with each other? And the rest of nature does it beautifully. It's just human beings. We are just a little slow on the uptake.
I I don't know. I think human beings, like, we want to grasp onto things, right?
We
Like
want it to stay
we
the
hold
same.
on to stuff. We want things to stay the same. So we hold on to things. We hold on to anger and resentments, but we also
Mhm.
want to hang on to the good stuff. The
Yeah.
fear that when it slips away, there's not going to be any
It's
more.
gone.
We're
Nothing
always like
else.
wanting to hang on instead of just letting the stuff flow, as it
That's why
needs.
that practice of non-attachment is very helpful for some people. That's how they get it. They get into that practice of non-attachment. I've been really working on that to say, okay, even the good stuff, it can be better, even if I don't know what better looks like.
Yeah.
Because I know better exists. I see other people experiencing better than
Hmm.
what I'm experiencing. So which experience do I want? And if I say, yes, it's this, and I want it to be more, then am I willing to let go of that which, well, might have served me in the past, might have been beautiful, but I'm willing to let go of it and
Yeah.
possibly not have it be better. What if it's not? That's what stops us. from letting go? What if it's worse?
Right.
It
Right.
could be better, but what if it's worse? And
Yeah.
then we hold on. That panic sets in and we hold on. And then when we do that, we stunt our very growth.
Mm-hmm.
It's like being the turtle in the little cage. We say, oh, what if I grow bigger? Oh, no, I'll just have this little cage. But because we're not growing, universe is saying, well, I guess you're cool with that little cage.
Mm-hmm. You actually took us into what we're going to do next week as we kick off the new year, right? Next weekend.
Yes.
For our launch, as we relaunch CSL Ocala, and with our bowl burning.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
releasing,
Yes.
releasing
Hmm.
the past in ceremony, a ceremony, a
Hmm.
little ritual, which is really nice. And it's bowl burning, so we're going to be fire, putting things in the fire, and just doing that. It's a symbolic thing, right? Of letting go, releasing
Hmm.
the past, and that's a part of it. Donna is releasing not just the bad, but releasing even the good, knowing that there is more and greater and always what we need, in
Hmm.
front of us. So we let it go,
Yeah.
create the vacuum, and set intention without heavy duty attachment. Like I know what I would like to experience,
Hmm.
um, but I'm not going to hold on to it so tight that I'm going to miss the other miracles that might come in its
Right.
place. Or maybe I'm expecting something to look a certain way and it doesn't. So, there's not quite as much joy, maybe.
And sometimes it's the very thought that you don't have it that keeps it away from you. So that's the thing. I had to be very clear about, like, is it my desire for better? Well, the very desire for wanting better gives me the thing I don't want, which is the desire for wanting better. And so you're stuck on this rat race where if you just let go of even wanting and just being grateful for where you are, then allows it to unplug and give you more of that which it frees it up to give you more of that what you want. So sometimes just wanting to manifest puts you in that little bottle and now you're stuck
Yeah.
because you're in the want, you
Again, what
know.
Diana here said, we're walking that thin line. There's the desire, and this is how I would like it to be. But if I get too attached to that, I end up pushing away the thing that I wanted, because then your focus is really not
On the
about
lack of the thing that you don't have.
exactly. Your focus is on what you don't have. Yes, that's what messes us up.
That's that part that just gets you every time. You're like, dang. And you start out with this joy and yay, this is what I want. But then we get so attached to the want that that's all we manifest is the want.
Right, right. It was, I don't know, I don't think you were on the call when we were, or the broadcast when we were first talking about the difference between joy and happiness, or maybe you were. But just the thought occurred to me in the Declaration of Independence, how it says, that we're entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, how different would it have been if those words were, we're entitled to life, liberty, and the
And
experience
happiness.
of joy, right?
Hmm.
Or just
Hmm.
life, liberty, and the experience of happiness. But as long as we're in the pursuit of it, we're always going to be in the pursuit of it
We're
and
chasing
never
it.
having it. We're always chasing it.
Hmm.
So, like, how different, would things be if we had just said, instead of the pursuit, like, yeah, let's have the actual experience of joy and happiness. And guess what? I'm entitled to it, and you're entitled to it, and even people that are my opponents that I disagree with or I don't like, we are all entitled to the experience of joy.
Yes.
Hmm.
In fact,
Hmm.
it's part of who we are. Like it's
As
innate
human beings, we
as
all
human beings.
experience joy.
Yeah,
Hmm.
we all have
Hmm.
it. We all have it.
And it'll look different for each person. Like some people will only find joy when they're in a mansion somewhere off the coast of France or whatever. And then
But
others,
not
the joy
really.
is not
Not
that at all.
always.
The joy is a yurt out in the middle of the desert. And for some people, the joy is Thanksgiving dinner with their family. And then other people's the joy with the babies, and other people's joy when they're 10,000 feet above whatever in a helicopter. Everybody's idea of the joy that ignites them is different. And just because your joy is different from mine, it doesn't make it any better.
Hmm.
It's all joy.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Anything on you, Norma? I think we actually, I'm looking at time. I think we need to be wrapping up this
Yeah,
conversation.
pretty much have. Yeah. Y- Pretty much joy starts from within. And if you are happy, or first starts happiness. If you're happy with yourself, then you can find the joy within. And then everything that you do will be joyful.
Yeah.
Hmm. You have to bring the joy with you.
Yes.
So that's the thing. It's like it's like the whole world is cold, and we all bring a little bit of fire with us, and then we all put it together, and then we all stay warm. Me
Yeah.
by my little self, by one little candle, I might not be able to get warm, but I add my one little candle to the bonfire, and now we are all warm. And that's what it is. You have to ignite that within you first, and then
Mhm.
bring it to the table. And there's sometimes other people can light your candle for you, but it don't, if it goes out, you got to be able to recreate that light. What if I'm
And I
not around?
that was one of the distinctions too, was the idea that that joy is a practice, and joy can be found in any circumstance. Even
Hmm.
circumstances that feel painful or that may be like suffering, that joy can come from those as well. Whereas
Hmm.
happiness is more situational, like related to what's going on around you. So more like a fleeting thing as opposed to joy, which is can be generated from inside. At least that's my understanding of it.
Hmm.
So anyway, I guess maybe we'll close with I don't know what has brought you something that has brought you joy in 2021.
For me, it was definitely the transformation vacation that we went to in Jamaica this month. It was
Hmm.
amazing. It just surpassed all my expectations in every category. There's just those that didn't make it with us this time. We're doing it again next year, so look us up.
Nice.
Hmm.
Awesome. Awesome. How about you, Donna?
Oh, that definitely was up there. So she stole that. But honestly, the joy of just being home in my space, my own space, working in my own business, having dinner with my family and not being gone somewhere. I mean, there's lots of joy traveling and, experiencing new things, but there's something about just being home, walking in the garden and touching all the little peppers and I don't
Yeah,
know. That's my joy, picking peppers from the little bush out front.
that's
But
awesome.
just, not giving of myself. I feel like I'm replenishing my cup by just walking on the grounds, maybe having a glass of wine by a bonfire outside. That's been really my joy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. I would have to say, because it's so recent, having my family over for the Christmas holidays, because it started out not feeling so joyous. I was starting, the Christmas with all of the stuff of the obligations and the have tos and all of that, and had an amazing experience with John Moore, earlier I guess it was this month, a family constellation, and it kind of shifted everything. I said, I'm not going to do
Hmm.
anything this season out of obligation. I may still do a lot of the same things that I would normally do, but it has to be done with a grateful heart, with a joyous heart, and not out of obligation. And it changed everything, and it was really a wonderful holiday. And we lost
Hmm.
Norma. She just disappeared. Anyway, well, on that note, my dear, I don't know where she went, but oh, she's back. You dropped off all of a sudden, you disappeared.
I was looking at the comments and hit the back button. Back wasn't the one to hit.
Gotcha. So let's see if there's any comments here.
Dinah had an interesting one.
What's that?
Said Dinah Contreras had an interesting one there. Joy
Yes, joy
to
to have
live
another day
another.
to live.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Yeah, the small things, right? Like I woke up this morning. For some, it's not so small. For
Right?
some of us, it's not. Well, anyway, ladies, thank you for another awesome conversation. We'll be doing the Zoom call. It's going to be a little shorter than usual because we have a meeting. I don't even know. Are you going to make it for our Zoom call today, ladies?
Yes. So we are wearing several hats today, so we're gonna make it all happen.
And roller skates.
and roller skates. And actually, what's interesting and fun is that as we're doing this, because we spent the holiday, we went and visited our daughter in her new space, and just kind of she was like, "Mom, we don't have anything." I was like, "Honey, I don't need dinner. I don't need nothing special. We're all in our jammies, just chilling and talking with each other, and drinking some eggnog, and just it doesn't need to be nothing." And Norma and I cleaned our room and put all our stuff away from coming back from out of town. So we were like, look at that. It's the gift that kept on giving. We now have a clean
And
room
purge.
and purged. Yeah. So, it's that kind of thing. But I was so in my joy doing that because I don't know, I got to really just kind of reconnect with my wife. And it was just such a simple little thing. And it was so nice and quiet through the house. And this was the first holiday we had where we did not do anything. We didn't cook for nobody. We didn't do a thing, but
Mhm.
yet I felt so fulfilled and I felt like my cup was being replenished. So it's one of the things that we recognize is a problem. And so Norma and we're going to have a discussion like this on the New Thought Network on our Your Phoenix is Rising is going to be going broadcasting this kind of format. Thank you, Reverend Cindy. This is just so helpful. And just talking to people about caring for caregivers. So just kind of keep a
Oh,
lookout for that.
awesome.
That's coming
Awesome.
up. Yeah. We're
You need
talking
to,
about nursing nurses and taking care of caregivers because caregivers just keep on giving, 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 giving. You have to replenish because if you can't, then what the heck are you going to give? Steam. There's nothing.
so we need to create a banner for you so people know how to get in touch with you, although they can always just reach out to CSL Ocala or tune
Hmm.
in on Zoom afterward, or
Yes.
just reach out to us. And if you're not getting our newsletter already, be sure to like our Facebook page, or send us a reach out to us. Myself,
Yes. And
Norma.
there's tons of people within our community who are using this teaching out in the world through the like we use in our business, Your Phoenix is Rising, and this is what we do. And that's why people are like, how do you do what you do? This teaching, this stuff right here that we've been talking about all year is what
Yeah.
we use, and that's how come we do what we do. And
Yes.
I just feel like if more and more of us are able to use it, like you said, Cindy, in the laboratory of our life, we'll start to realize that we can do it.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Am I back?
Yes.
You're there, Cindy.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if it was me or you, but
It was me.
alrighty. So, all right, we'll go ahead and sign off, and we're going to be going on Zoom, and we'll do the next part of our this program here for those who would like to help further the mission and the vision of CSL Ocala. So I thank you, ladies, and I will see you on Zoom, and then in person next week.
Yes,
I'll see y'all before
absolutely. And we'll still be doing the online thing for those
then. Yes,
who
we
of
will
us
be.
who don't live locally, we'll still be hanging out. And sometimes we'll be in your town. You just never know. So if you know
Absolutely.
we're gonna be in your area and you hear us talking about it, come hit us up, man.
And tell us when your Phoenix is Rising is doing your program on New Thought Media Network. When is that
It's
happening?
on it's gonna be starting the beginning of the year and it's gonna be Monday nights at 8 o'clock Eastern.
Okay, great.
So we're
Well,
gonna be advertising it. Yeah.
terrific.
And that and the transformation vacation, the next one that's coming up is in October of 2022. So if you just go to ypir.net or yourphoenixisrising.com, they'll see all that information.
All right, terrific. Thank you, ladies. Love you. I will see you on Zoom afterward.
Bye.
All right, bye, y'all. Let's see. And hi, Rich. Richard is our tech guy and our board president and our tech guru, and he just pops in once in a while. He must have known I really wanted Richard to come in on this conversation today, so he just showed his face. Anyway, let's see what's going on next. So, time for our offering, gifts and tithes. And so, Center for Spiritual Living Ocala really exists because of the giving of folks who believe in what we're doing, who are along with our mission and our vision, and to come here and take classes or who watch us online like all of those folks, and we appreciate you so much. Everybody who gives to this center, whether you're giving of your time, your talent, or your financial treasure, we appreciate you so much, and it allows us to do what we do. So I'm going to invite you to give at cslocala.org/donate, or another really easy way to do it is what we call text to tithe. And if you have a smartphone, you text the number going across the bottom of the screen, which is 352-320-5110. And once you text to that number, you put in the amount that you'd like to give to the center, you hit send, and it goes right from your account to our account. And it's a great thing. So thank you again if you've been giving to CSL Ocala. And here is the affirmation: it is the nature of life to give of itself. As it is the tree's nature to bear fruit and the flower's nature to bloom, it is my nature to share the gifts of my time, talent, and treasure. I participate in the divine flow of life, giving generously and receiving abundantly. I am blessed and I am a blessing. I am so very grateful. Yes, indeed. I am very, very grateful for all of you who keep showing up. I am grateful for our relaunch that is coming up here very soon. As we mentioned during the program, our bowl burning ceremony will be next Sunday. That's January 2nd at 7 p.m. We usually do this in the morning, but we're going to do it in the evening next Sunday. And hopefully the weather will let us have a nice fire either inside or outside. And it's always a great way, as we talked about earlier, just releasing the past and not carrying that forward into the next expression of your life, picking and choosing maybe what you want to bring forward, the lessons. What else is happening? We have a board, not a board, excuse me, a membership meeting at the end of January. That is on the 30th of January. It's a Sunday, and it will be in the morning at 11 o'clock. And if you have been a member, if you are interested in becoming a member of CSL Ocala, please do join us for that meeting. And as we mentioned, there's going to be regular gatherings in person at the center. Every week there will be something different going on. So just stay in touch and be sure to sign up for our newsletter so you can get our calendar of events. And I'm going to take one more look at comments, see if there's anything else we need to know or anything else to address. Let's see. Yes, happy holidays to everyone. I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas, and I wish you a very, very happy new year and many blessings during 2022. And now we'll close with our prayer for protection. It goes like this: the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so I just affirm that all is well as you go through your experience this week and going into 2022. I just affirm that you have every resource needed to do everything that brings you joy. And so I affirm peace, joy, much love, abundance, and health in every area of your life. And I just wish you all the best. Love and blessings to each one of you. And we'll see you in 2022, if not before. Take care.